Happy Mock Draft Monday, and you know what that means. I got a mock draft just for you with some new names, some new faces, a new draft order. So let's go ahead and get into this sucker. Special thanks to our friends over at the Captors Collective. More on them a little bit later, but I mentioned a new draft order. This is the current draft order as of halftime of Sunday Night Football currently. But let's get into this sucker. The New York Jets, they're winless. Golly, the passing offense? What passing offense? It was horrible. So yeah, they're probably going to take a swing at quarterback. Question is, who is that guy in this class? Will these guys return? That's kind of where we're at. Like you kind of get this feeling maybe Dante Moore probably returns. Lenore Sellers, that feels like he might end up returning. John Mateer playing 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks after the broken bone in his, I think it was his thumb. It was in his throwing hand. Didn't look good coming back. Shouldn't have rushed it. So, but he's got another year of eligibility. Fernando Mendoza right now feels like the safest bet to go 1 overall. So we're going to go ahead and take him for the Jets, leading us to the Cleveland Browns. Dylan Gabriel wasn't all that impressive, but hey, it's his second official start. Let's say the Browns forego a quarterback, especially with such a mystery at quarterback currently this year. And they're like, okay, well, offense is a problem. Let's go ahead and get more offense. I know this tackle class is interesting. I like it, but maybe don't love it. Maybe if we push that down the board, because I think I did this last week where we took the tackle early, took a wide receiver late. Instead, we're going to do vice versa. We're going to take the wide receiver early and the tackle late. And I'm taking Jordan Tyson. He is the best wide receiver in this draft class. I don't think it really comes close, though some guys are rising to the occasion. Wide receiver 2 is looking closer than ever to Jordan Tyson. Baltimore Ravens, golly, they're hurt. They're banged up. They're 1-5. Life sucks. They get a bye and then they get Lamar back. But is the hole too deep for the Ravens? They did just trade Odafe Owe to the Chargers. So edge is kind of sitting there in my mind. I know they got Mike Green in this past draft, but at least early on, he's probably a rotation option. You're looking for a starter currently next to Kyle Van Noy, who's getting up there in years and maybe you want to move off of. Let's just go ahead, take Ruben Bain and call it a day. Probably the best non-quarterback prospect in this draft class. And then my Miami Dolphins, my sweet, sweet Miami Dolphins. Things aren't looking good in paradise. Things aren't looking good just in general with this team. I'm telling y'all, I'm feeling, you feel that in the air? It's called a rebuild. Well, Tua, we can't release Tua. That's fine. How about we just take a shot on a quarterback, not play him year 1, or at least not play him early in year 1, and just play Tua and then get off his contract in 2026. Shoot, maybe he becomes beneficial for us. Tua, that is, plays so well that we actually can move him and get some good trade value. Again, if wishes were fishes, well, then we'd live in an ocean, which is the natural domain of the Dolphin. That's not the case, but I'm taking a swing on quarterback. I just am. I'm going to go with Dante Moore. Don't think he comes out in this class. Probably still ends up being a top 10 pick, whether it be this year or 2027. I know the Indiana game wasn't spectacular, but I thought it was still relatively solid. Him and Mendoza, they had their struggles, but they also kind of stepped up here and there. Before we go any further, I want to talk about a super interesting sports betting system that I came across recently, the Captors Collective. The Captors Collective pays for premium picks of the top 50 sports betting handicappers in the world and combines them all to produce the ultimate consensus picks every day. I love this idea because it makes so much sense to me. Since their inception last year, they have a proven track record of winning consistently for their members and are already up 110 units on the year so far, meaning that $100 bettors would have already made over $10,000 this year alone using the system. The Collective subscribes to and tracks the performance of all the top sports betting groups for you, and their proprietary algorithm makes sure that the only handicappers who legitimately win long-term are used in their consensus system. This kind of sports betting innovation doesn't come around often, so I'd highly recommend checking out the Captors Collective premium membership options. and they're offering a special discount to my subscribers. If you use the promo code Broshmo, you'll get 25% off. Just follow the link in the description. It's also the pinned comment, but back to today's video. Pick 5, New Orleans Saints. I believe in their quarterback. Right now, Spencer Rattler, he's looking pretty solid. Does he have maybe top half of the league starter potential? Maybe not, but you did just draft Tyler Shuck in the second round this past draft. So let's forego quarterback for the Saints, and let's just take the best non-quarterback prospect currently on the board, Caleb Downs. Justin Reed, I think they could get off his contract if they want to with a post-June 1st cut. It'll involve no dead cap, and it frees up $11 million. So, solid. Tennessee Titans. Listen, you need to do something to help Cam Ward. He's in a terrible situation. They invested a lot with their tackles, whether it be an early first-round pick or a big contract this past offseason. So it feels maybe irresponsible, maybe to go and grab more, like another offensive lineman. Instead, I'm going to go with wide receiver. I'm starting to like this wide receiver class more and more, and we'll get to that when we get to my midseason wide receiver rankings. I loved Mekhi Lemon coming into the year. I love him even more. He gives me flashes of Steve Smith. That's not a comp. I'm just saying there's flashes. He's like 5'11", 190, but he plays strong as hell. Cincinnati Bengals, this is kind of an awkward spot because I don't think tackles, the offensive line is a problem in general, but you look to the interior being more of a problem than their current tackle situation, even though that's not spectacular. So I kind of want to be like, okay, well, maybe you could do that in the off season or in free agency, maybe later in the draft. I don't want to do it here. Instead, I'm just going to look to the defense. Peter Woods, tape's really good, just uber athletic at that size. I'm just going to get my bull in a china shop because their defensive interior ain't all that impressive. It's just not. All right, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, goodness gracious. This has to be a quarterback, right? The fortunate thing is the way that you're paying Geno, sure, maybe you could get off his contract next year. I haven't really looked into it, but or you could just draft a guy and develop him, not rush him. So why not take the most toolsy quarterback in this draft class currently? Sure, he might stick around. Maybe he transfers, tries to find a coaching staff that can properly develop him, and maybe be behind an offensive line that isn't bad, because that's currently what it is at South Carolina. But I like Sellers. He was my QB2 entering the year, and he's floating around that QB1 just because of the tools. So I'm gonna go with Sellers here. And if you want to know more, I'm currently adjusting my positional rankings for the 2026 NFL draft. So if you want more draft content, I got it for you. We love the NFL draft, and now my draft guide is available for purchase. It comes with over 500 player backgrounds and close to 300 player evals. It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So when I add a new eval or I change my rankings, you're going to be the first to know. It's going to have all the pro day and combine numbers along with analytics, and it's a Google spreadsheet for right now. So you have to include your email with the purchase, but we will be switching over to a website at the end of the year. And if you get it now, it's going to be cheaper now than it will be later. It's a great way to support the channel. And as always, much appreciated, much obliged. Number 9, New York Giants. I always feel like I'm taking offensive line, but it always seems like a good pick here for the Giants. I could definitely just forego a wide receiver because Malik Neighbors probably won't be back early into the 2026 season, but I don't know if I want to do that. If I were to take another receiver, it's Carnell Tate. Instead, since there hasn't been a offensive lineman taken off the board yet, I'm just going to go ahead and take my swing there. Either way, if you go wide receiver, if you go offensive line, it helps Jackson Dart. So we're going to go with my boy out of the U Francis Maui Noah. Let's go. Now, I was just talking about all that good stuff about Carnell Tate. I think I'm going to take him here for the Cardinals. I wouldn't mind if this was Francis Maui Noah. It was basically, okay, whatever option they decide, the Giants decide to take to help their quarterback, we're going to just take whatever they did. So I'm going to go with Carnell Tate, who's really starting to flash. And I mean, shoot, just with the production of guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba and Emeka Ibuka, there we go. This last year, I think now it's just like, hey, just take a freaking Ohio State wide receiver and you probably have a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL. So I'm going to do that. And you get to reunite him with Marvin Harrison Jr. Isn't that fun? Kansas City Chiefs probably won't be drafting here in real life, but currently this is where I have them. I believe it's still halftime for the Detroit game, or did they just start the third quarter? Yeah, they're about to start the third quarter. So Chiefs look like they could win this game. I don't know. It's a close game. It's a good Sunday night football game between the Chiefs and the Lions. Regardless, I don't believe they will be drafting here. I think they're probably going to be making the playoffs. That's just what the Chiefs do. But you never know. Maybe they do. I'm going to take Jeremiah Love. I'm going to get a legit awesome running back. I was very skeptical and what's the word? What? I didn't like when they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I was like, that's early. I hate running back value. I'm starting to come around just because the pendulum's swinging the other way when it comes to the run game. And if you invest in your offensive line and you're drafting, I feel like you're just in a better position to draft a top tier running back. And the Chiefs have kind of done that. So I'm going to take Jeremiah Love, who's just a freak of nature. Houston Texans. This has to be offensive line. Spencer Fano is still on the board. I think that's probably the pick for me. Whether he ends up playing guard or tackle for the Texans, it's kind of irrelevant. Just get CJ Stroud an offensive line, for goodness sake. Dallas Cowboys. Last week, I think I took the edge player early for the Cowboys. I did. I think this year, we're going to flip it and we're going to be like, okay, this is a pretty good edge class. And only one edge, I believe, has come off the board thus far. So how about we just push it to our next pick and go ahead and snag some maybe corner help, some help in the secondary. And I think I'm going to do that because you get your first shot of whatever corner you have first. I love Jermon McCoy. He's coming off the ACL injury. We'll get to see him hopefully in the next few weeks. And hopefully he's looking just as good as he was last year because his tape last year was hella good. So Jermon McCoy going off the board here. Carolina Panthers. I think we get to this middle first round area and I'm okay. I'm okay at this point to start thinking about linebacker. There's one linebacker who has set himself apart from the rest. Arvell Reese has been an utter monster. I'm sure Evero would love a dude like this in his defense. So we're going with that. Chicago Bears. Oh, tackle's a possibility. I think I'm still going to go with the defense. Monday night, they're going to be starting Theo Benedict. We'll see how that goes. They did draft Ozzie Trapillo. So maybe they don't go in on tackle in this draft. Maybe they do. I think I'd rather, seeing that the edge class is kind of slid, to get in on this edge room. When it comes to Dennis Allen, Keldrick Falk is just built like a Dennis Allen player. So I'm going to get him for the Bears. This is the first pick of the Los Angeles Rams at pick 16 via the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not going to go quarterback here. Maybe it's about time to start thinking about Matthew Stafford's successor. Maybe you do that next year. Who knows? I don't think I'm going to do it with this pick. We just saw the first corner come off the board. I think this is a corner needy team. I love Mansour Delane. I'm going to snag him here for the Rams. Washington Commanders. Always an interesting spot. I think what I'm gonna do, man, we've seen a couple of corners come off the board. I think you could go corner here if you want to. Don't have to, though. There's ways maybe we could help out the offense, but I think I'd rather get some additional pass rush. Dan Quinn has experience dealing with very twitched up, athletically gifted edge players who might not have ideal length, a la Micah Parsons. Not saying that this player I'm about to select is Micah Parsons, but he's been probably the most disruptive edge in college football, and that's David Bailey out of Texas Tech. Let's do it. Minnesota Vikings. It's really hard to do something new for the Minnesota Vikings because I just like the idea of going corner here. You've seen good things from Isaiah Rodgers. They have Byron Murphy. Murphy kind of plays a little bit in the slot with Metellus. So I think getting another corner just to add more depth because they just don't have another guy there on the roster currently isn't a bad option. I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take my boy out of Arizona State. Give this dude more love. Put some respect on Keith Abney's name. He is such a smooth and fluent mover. Respect Keith Abney, please. New England Patriots. Listen, guys. Mike Vrabel. They went offensive heavy last draft. I think this is his draft. This is a good linebacker class. Maybe linebacker just starts getting pushed to the forefront in this draft class just because maybe other positions are lacking. So for the Patriots here, I was compelled to go corner. I'm not going to lie. Even edge, you can make a case. Instead, I'm going to go with Sonny Styles, the other Ohio State linebacker. People forget about him, but he is hella good. Whoopsie-daisies. I do love Whit Weeks, though. Not first round love Whit Weeks, though, unfortunately. But Sonny Styles, I think, is a very gifted player. Former safety, great movement skills. Denver Broncos. Man, rough go at it today for the Broncos. I don't mind taking Kenyon Sadiq here. I don't know, this might feel a little early for Sadiq. I mean, he's very athletically gifted. The play this year has been, I don't know, he's still developing chemistry with Dante Moore. But he's made some big plays, some big catches. And you get to reunite Sadiq with Bo Nix. So we're grabbing Bo Nix some playmakers. And now the Cleveland Browns. And the board has fallen as I hoped. As I got two quality options at tackle. Some people think Caden Proctor is more of a guard. I'm not a big sucker for tall guards. And I honestly, with Proctor, I would try him out at tackle before I move him into guard. If he has a chance to be in a really good tackle in the NFL, send it. Let's do it. I love Trevor Gooseby. He's coming off a solid game against a very mean, and I mean mean Oklahoma defense in general. I was going to say defensive line, but that whole defense is nutty. Gooseby, very athletically gifted. We're helping our quarterback, whoever that may be. Okay, Rams. I think this is where let's go ahead. Let's get on the hype train. Come along, all aboard. Ty Simpson's looked hella good. Is he perfect? No. I think he's got good, not great arm strength, or good, not elite arm strength. I don't think it would put him in the top half of the NFL. But I think he would fit comfortably with maybe those in the second half of the league. Second half of the league in terms of starters when it comes to his arm strength. But he's so pinpoint accurate. He's a master pre-snap. I mean, a dude that's getting under center, shouting out his protections at the line. Typically in college football, the centers are doing that. But he's doing that. That's an NFL thing. Now, there are times where he will hold on to the ball a little bit too long here and there because he does want to make a play. It is what it is. I think it's kind of resurfaced. You saw it in the Florida State game. It was like, oh. But it resurfaced during the Vandy game. I felt like he was just feeling himself as a runner. And maybe a little bit of that was in the Missouri game, but also Missouri was bringing so much pressure. They were nuts. But Simpson, he could sit a year behind Matthew Stafford, a year or so, while you develop him. But I think it'd be really good for Sean McVay's offense. Seattle Seahawks. So I would like to take a corner here. There is one particular Seahawk fan in the comment section last week that was very adamant against them taking a corner. Oh, they historically don't do this. Like, trends aren't broken all the time. We just saw it with the Eagles. Oh, the Eagles never take corners in the first round. And then they proceeded to take one in the first and second round. Oh, Eagles, they're all about positional value. They're not going to take a linebacker in the first round. And then this past draft, they take a linebacker in the first round. I'm just saying, with Seattle, last year, I did a mock draft with that franchise guy and Alex from Hail Mary Sports. I had the Seahawks pick, and I said, hey, Gray Zabel, he's looked great this week. They need offensive interior help. I heard during the whole offseason, they don't care or they don't value their offensive interior. And then they proceeded to take Gray Zabel. I'm not saying I'm a prophet. I'm just saying a broken clock is right 2 times a day. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to go corner here. I'm going to try to think outside the box. I'm actually going to go with Caden Proctor and specifically look at him as a guard because their guard situation, Zabel's been fine-ish for a rookie. You expect him to get better. Anthony Bradford hasn't been good. So we're going to get Proctor to mainly be that guard. And shoot, if freaking Abraham Lucas gets hurt or banged up, you could kick Proctor out to tackle and see how that goes. Philadelphia Eagles. Golly, y'all got exposed by Jackson Dart of all people. Golly. To be fair, they were banged up. They were missing Jalen Carter that game. Quinion Mitchell got banged up. I think maybe looking for someone else that could play on the outside with Quinion Mitchell, if you're going to keep Cooper DeJean in the slot, I think could be a wise decision. I like Avion Terrell. He just screams a slot only in the NFL to me. So I like top 50 like him, not necessarily first round like him, but you could talk me into Terrell at the back end of the first round. I'm going to go with Colton Hood, having a phenomenal year at Tennessee, having to step up. For one, they're currently down McCoy, and then they lost Gibson, I believe, was their other starting corner, and he's just stepped up and looked phenomenal this year. Okay, we got the Chargers. I hear they need offensive line help. We're going to get them some offensive line help because, well, shoot, dude, their whole offensive line is just at the hospital. You had Slater missing the whole year prior to the season. You have Joe Alt out with, I think it's a high ankle sprain. Pipkins got banged up. Trying to think on that interior. I mean, shoot, Zion Johnson's probably going to free agency. So yeah, let's get in. Let's grab the first official guard, not tackle, that might end up being a guard in this draft. I'm gonna go with Vega. I think it's Yawane. That's the pronunciation I have heard. I've also heard 3 different pronunciations for Vega here, but he's been phenomenal this year. He entered the year my guard 1, and he has not disappointed. He is a big Samoan that just beats the hell out of people. So sign me up. San Francisco 49ers. I've been taking offensive line help a lot. So not to say that's not the right move. I want to explore other possibilities. Unfortunately earlier today, Fred Warner went down with a nasty, I think it was a dislocated ankle. Just got rolled over by his own player, I believe. But with him out, D Winters is kind of fine, but it's can we get something better? Yeah, let's say this is the 1980s again, and linebacker is back in style. It's a good linebacker class, someone who was really impressed, especially this past week. AJ Allen has looked phenomenal for Georgia. I think he's come along from a coverage standpoint, which was kind of my biggest gripe with him. he was in this collection of 6 linebackers where I was like, you could order these guys, like entering the season, you could order these guys any which way and I'd be okay with it. Allen, however, I was like with guys like Sonny Styles, CJ Allen, Whit Weeks, who was the other linebacker? Oh, Anthony Hill. Those 4 to me was like, okay, but they have far bigger upsides than the other 2 I included in that top 6. And Allen has just looked so darn impressive. So we're going to take him here. Dallas Cowboys, edge has indeed fallen. I believe only 1 edge has come off the board. No, 2 edges have come off the board since we selected, which I think is perfect because staring us in the face is TJ Parker. I think is a very high floor player who's still kind of putting it together in terms of consistency. But the pass rush win rate, it's solid. It's solid enough to be, I would say, a low end edge 1. So I don't want to say he's more meant to be the Robin to someone's Batman. But if we were going to classify him, he's like a Dick Grayson level Robin. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, but I think he's probably one of the safest bets to be just, we're going to hit on a good player here. Buffalo Bills, man. Last week, did I take a linebacker? I did take a linebacker. We'll switch it up. Let's look at the offensive line. They got a few free agents on the interior there. I'm a big sucker for Oregon center Poncho. There he is. Should be a lot higher, but it is what it is. Not my rankings, just the PFF ones. I think that's their consensus board, though. But yeah, I stinking love Poncho here. Let's see if I can nail his last name. Lalo Ilu. Lalo Ilu. Here we go. But yeah, he kind of had an interesting game against Indiana, who are constantly pressuring. But I think him and Pregnon were probably the most consistent parts to that offensive line. You had right tackle Harkey really struggling there in the Indiana game. But we're gonna get some help whether Poncho ends up playing center or guard for the Bills. Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not going to take another quarterback in this draft. I'm just not. John Mateer, coming back from the thumb, didn't look good. Rushed back from the thumb. I would say, I mean, he's just got moxie and an it factor, but it was a really bad game. I'd still be willing to take him in the top 50. However, I think he probably ends up returning unless he ends up turning this around, or if he ends up waiting to get healthy and then he comes back and looks good, I think that's fine as well. But I don't want to touch another quarterback in this class. Instead, I know the Steelers don't do this, but who cares? This is my mock draft. I want to showcase a player. I'm going to go with a wide receiver to pair up with DK. I'm going to get another pass catcher there for Aaron Rodgers if he returns. There's actually quite a few that I think you can make a good argument that could sneak into this first round. Denzel Boston. Just, he's got possession wide receiver feel, but he can win vertically. He's got some speed to him, but he is just so elite at the catch point. Chris Brazzell, more of a long speed type of guy, but again, kind of built like a possession wide receiver. I love me KC Concepcion, probably more of a day 2 player. However, Chris Bell intrigues me because he is built like a tank, 6'1", 227, I believe. And he's so fast. Acceleration out the wazoo. I think he's just kind of a perfect fit for Arthur Smith's system here. You could do a lot of different fun things with him, whether it's jet sweeps, or even just tossing out a screen and saying, hey, go upfield real fast. He can do that. So we're going to take Chris Bell, first round. Detroit Lions, they're currently playing. Let's do a quick scoreboard for the Lions game. Currently, Chiefs are up 20-10, so Chiefs probably would have been higher in this draft. Is what it is. But the Detroit Lions, Taylor Decker, He's been out the last couple of games with a shoulder. He's up there, getting up there in years. Giovanni Manu is on IR currently, I believe. So maybe you take another shot at just fortifying your trenches. I still think Caleb Lomu checks a lot of boxes. Probably ends up being a 2027 NFL draft guy because I think he's got top 10 potential. But he checks a lot of boxes when it comes to what you want in your offensive tackle. Didn't look great in their first real test a few weeks ago against Texas Tech, but I'm sure he'll rebound, and he did. Honestly, he looked solid in the Arizona State game. So we're gonna snag him here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm gonna get them some edge help. Hassan Reddick, he's gone after a year, I believe. I think it's a 1 year, $12 to $14 million deal. Let's get Yaya Diaby a running mate. I love Cassius Howe. Hey, Todd Bowles, if you are just looking for speedsters, if you're looking for these guys that are just NASCARs, Howe and Diaby are just that. And then finally, we're going to wrap this sucker up with the Indianapolis Colts. I know the Colts linebacker room isn't great right now. Preferably, I wouldn't take a linebacker. It would be the fourth linebacker off the board in the first round. That blows my mind if that were to happen in today's NFL right now. But if you think about it, I could go with defensive interior, but really I probably would just want to maybe get a future edge there next to Liatu Latu. To be fair, Quiddy Pay coming off a really good game against Arizona today. Corner, we could add corner help. Avion Terrell, though, I feel like is more of a slot in the NFL, and they have Kenny Moore. But that is something they can do. I feel like AJ Harris is more of a day 2 player. So instead, I think, you know what? Screw it. Let's just get Colts fans at linebacker. I don't want Anthony Hill still playing good football. I don't want him to get lost in this discussion. Whit Weeks, I love me some Whit Weeks. He's just been giving off the day 2 vibe. I don't feel like he improved in coverage this year. Jake Golday is going to be someone to watch out for, but still feels more day 2 than actual first round. Hill was getting first round hype coming into the year. I think his play has been pretty darn good. That Texas defense has been the only thing keeping that Texas team above water. So let's round out the draft with Anthony Hill. And that's it. That's our mock draft, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Special thanks to our friends at the Captors Collective. Thank you for sponsoring today's video. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.